Am I the asshole for not letting my dad give his ticket to my brother? My brother, 28 male, and I, 32 male, don't have a good relationship. He treated me terribly during a difficult time in my life and hasn't apologized or shown any remorse. Despite this, I decided to forgive him for the sake of my parents and to keep the peace in the family. I've made it clear that I'm not looking for a closer relationship with him, but I'll show up to family events if invited. Fast forward to late December. There's a big cycling event happening, which my dad and I were both interested in attending since it's one of the few things we share a passion for. I thought it would be nice to go together, so I called him. He was excited, and I bought 2 tickets. Then my mom found out and totally freaked out because my brother, who lives abroad, might be in the country that day. She was worried it would be unfair to him if my dad and I spent time together without him. My dad, however, didn't even know if my brother would be home that day. Meanwhile, the tickets sold out, so I told my mom I couldn't get any more. I was relieved and thought I had saved myself from a fight about not wanting to go with him. She was really upset and called it a horrible situation. I told her I didn't think she should be acting this way over me simply inviting my dad to a cycling event. Last night, 14 days later, my dad called to tell me he was planning to offer my ticket to my brother since he thought it would make things easier. He doesn't know if my brother is in the country at that date or whether my brother is even interested in attending, but he would offer him the ticket anyway. I told him I didn't think that was right and that I wasn't going to any sports event with my brother. If it's such a big deal that I invited my dad to this event, then he could just stay home. I'm really heartbroken by this. I feel like I made a huge sacrifice by forgiving my brother, but it's never good enough. They always demand more and now I can't even invite my father to an event. Am I the asshole for not wanting my dad to give his ticket to my brother and for standing my ground on this? Not the asshole. I wouldn't go with your brother either. If it's so unfair in your mother's opinion, why doesn't she arrange to do something special with bro while you're out with dad? Or dad can do something special alone with bro the next day? It doesn't have to be so ridiculous. I know a mom like that. It's exhausting, not just for you, but for your dad. I know you feel angry, but take a second to remember, he was excited about it and now he's potentially having to give it up. Why? Badgering. Easier to do what she wants at whatever cost to himself, than to listen to her carry on for who knows how long. I'm betting she could hold a grudge for years without batting an eye. Sorry dude, hope it all works out. Just get the ticket back and go with a friend. Tell your parents you don't want the hassle of them prioritizing your brother's schedule over a planned events. I'm estranged from my brother and had to tell my parents that if they didn't stop tricking me into family time that involved him that the result would be seeing me a whole lot less. This cycling event seems like exactly the type of thing they would have tried before I put my foot down. Not the asshole. I can't imagine spending 20 minutes in a car with my brother. Alone. In Ta. They don't even know if your brother is visiting. It's not like he planned the trip, and your dad blanked on remembering the date. So your brother is the golden child, huh? God forbid he randomly comes to his home country and can't be in a bike race, like seriously? That's your mom's concern? Fairness? Fairness my foot. I would rescind the offer to bike with your dad. Withdraw from them substantially. It won't change much with your relationship, seeing as they live on standby for your brother anyway. Not the asshole. I would rescind the offer of going to the event. Get the ticket back from your dad if necessary. When they ask why, tell them that because they're prioritizing your brother on a might-show-up day over your scheduled well-in-advance outing, you're tired of always being an afterthought to them. Then go with a friend or sell the tickets. Let them know that they ruined something that was supposed to be a fun thing for you and your dad over your brother's possibility of being in town, and now you know for sure who the favored child is. Then be done with bending over backwards for them, and that includes being around them when your brother is around them. Remind them that they chose this, not you. You tried it their way and they wanted to shot on you. No more. It's your way now. Not the asshole. Do you have a friend who'd like to go with you instead? Because this is going to keep happening until you put up some boundaries with your parents. Your mom doesn't even know if your brother wants to go or if he's even coming to visit, and she's already dictating your time. Did she kick up a fuss when dad and bro went on vacation without you? Or does the whole family nonsense only count when your brother is excluded? Am I the asshole for being ungrateful and not eating the brownies my girlfriend made for me? Yesterday my girlfriend surprised me with some homemade brownies. She baked them specifically for me. She was so thoughtful and used all vegan ingredients. It made me feel both so valued and cared for, but also stressed because I knew I wouldn't like them, because I cannot handle the chewy texture of them. But she didn't know that, so here I took her word for it. But that part is actually a little bit complicated. Check the edit. I love the chocolate flavor, so she must have thought I would like brownies too. I thanked and then told her I'm really not good with chewy textures. She insisted that I take a bite, so I did. I could barely swallow it. Smiled and hid my disgust the best I could because I knew she would be offended. I must suck at faking my reaction because she immediately asked me, does it really taste that horrible? I said no, it's not about that, I just can't handle the chewy textures. I told her it has nothing to do with the taste or her baking and not to take it personal. Unfortunately she did. She told me I'm ungrateful and I could just take few bites and tell her I will save the rest for the later like a normal person. I apologized and said I don't think I will be able to take more bites. That really upset her. She said fine, I will fucking throw them away then and throw them into garbage. She was so upset the whole time and decided to not stay over, so I gave a ride. She was upset during the ride too and slammed the door when she was leaving. I don't know how to feel all about this. Am I the asshole? ETA. I actually remember telling her about it once, but she must have forgot, because she said she didn't know, or maybe I misremember, probably the latter. Because after I told her I'm not good with the chewy textures, I asked her, I actually told you this once, don't you remember? And she acted like she was hearing this for the first time ever and swore I never told her about it. Info: how long have you two been together that she does not know you can't eat chewy textures? For someone so adverse to texture, you know you can change the texture of brownies? Put them in the fridge or let them sit out for a bit. My husband loves garlic, bacon and potatoes. Made him a potato bake. Turns out he hates potato bake, lol. He did apologize and was really nice. I meanwhile eat everything except almond flavoring. Like almonds are fine, but almond flavored treat? It's like my coriander. There's something seriously wrong in my mouth when I try almond flavoring. My mom can handle spice but not wasabi. Or lemons. IDK, people's taste buds are whack. People are allowed to have preferences. It sounds like you were gracious and nice. I get it sucks, but part of personal growth is realizing your good deed might not be the good deed someone needs. Not the asshole. I hate when people surprise me with stuff and then get mad when I don't enjoy their surprise. If she had done the minimum amount of probing ahead of time, she would have known that you don't like chewy textures. You're not obligated to pretend that you're enjoying something that disgusts you. You thanked her and explained that you appreciated the gesture. She can't expect more than that. Not the asshole. You did your best. It makes sense for her to be disappointed, but not angry. A gift should be given without strings attached. If I were her, I would have said, "Aw, this sucks, I'm sorry. I should have asked you first. Can I take them home and eat them myself, or do you want to keep them to serve to guests?" It's a red flag that she freaked out like that. It's not okay. Anger is rarely justified. Usually another emotion is more appropriate, and anger is typically only expressed by people who can't deal with the appropriate emotions like fear, disappointment, sadness, vulnerability, etc. Anger is only okay if someone knowingly attacks you. Not the asshole. When I first started dating my boyfriend, there were a few instances where I made him something that has a texture or flavor he didn't like. He still tried it, but was honest and said he didn't like it or want more. My response was to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I won't make this in the future." And noted his preferences. He has done the same for me anytime I've disliked something. You were perfectly polite about your rejection of her gift, and you even tried it despite having told her you wouldn't like it. You did absolutely nothing wrong. Her reaction is a huge red flag. I doubt this will be the only thing she has a disproportionate reaction to. Am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend I don't love his niece the same way he does? My fiancée, 30M, has a 3-year-old niece. Her mother, my fiancé's sister, 27F, is moody, entitled, and rude to everyone, including her own parents. She doesn't work, doesn't properly care for her daughter, and never cleans up her mess or her kids' mess. Because of this, and more, I just pretend to like her, treat her with respect, and try to avoid her as much as possible. I stay out of my boyfriend's family issues, but even his own parents find her problematic and tolerate her tantrums only to avoid her taking the kid away. Often, I end up feeding, caring for, or teaching basic things to this little girl because her mom is too lazy to do so. I resent this, but I still do it willingly. The girl seems to like me because I give her attention, care for her, and play with her, something her own mom doesn't do. I find her affection toward me sweet, but I can't forget that I'm not her mother and that her mom should be the one stepping up. To add, it's always been difficult for me to love people outside of my family. The only person I've learned to love as family is my fiancé. Today, I was upset because my fiancé's sister went on a trip and left her daughter behind. Since I happened to be around, I was left in charge of her for 2 days in a row. I tried not to let it bother me and cared for the girl because she's innocent, but she was sick with a cold and cough. Her mom hadn't even taught her to cover her mouth when sneezing, so the girl sneezed very close to my face multiple times. Of course, I taught her to cover her mouth, but I still ended up catching her cold. I'm now feeling awful physically and emotionally. I was mad that I had to care for this woman's child, unappreciated, of course. And now I'm sick because I did something that wasn't even my responsibility. Today, while feeling miserable, my fiancé said, "That's just how it is. You have to love her because she's also your niece." That made me angry. He seems to take the idea of real love lightly, and I told him that while the child is innocent and I do like her and care for her, I don't love her like she's my family. She's his niece, not mine. I also mentioned that I got sick because I cared for her when her mom was off enjoying her trip. I firmly believe that we're not obligated to love our partner's nieces or nephews like they're our own family. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't love my own sister's son just because he is my niece. But my fiancé got upset and walked out after I said this. Now I feel awful for sharing my thoughts with him. Edit to add. Yes, we're currently living with his family temporarily while our apartment is being finished. I hate it, and every day I grow to dislike his sister even more. The other day, I overheard his parents talking about how tired they are of her behavior. She doesn't work, spends her money on luxurious things, throws tantrums without hesitation, even attacking her own mother, and doesn't take care of her daughter. My in-laws care a lot about their granddaughter, and it's clear they see me as a better maternal figure because of my patient and involved personality with kids, even though I have nothing to do with this situation. It disgusts me that my in-laws complain about her behind her back but don't set any boundaries with her because they're too afraid to confront her. Edit to add. Yesterday, my fiancé came to talk to me and apologized for how he reacted. He told me that I don't have to love his niece like she's my own, and he personally thanked me for taking care of her in a way no one else would have. He admitted that he knows how awful his sister is and said something that really made me think. If you had been a 3-year-old with an irresponsible mom and a crappy family, wouldn't you have wanted to have an adult like you in your life? Don't do it for my sister or my parents. Just remember she's only a little girl. Honestly, I still think that's not my problem, but that made me reflect a lot. Sad face. Not the asshole. I will probably be in the minority here, but I feel the same way. You don't start immediately loving someone just because you are about to marry one of their family members. You are being kind and reliable. That is more than she is getting from her mother. Not only is the child's mother failing her, but so is her uncle, your fiancé, and her grandparents. You may, or may not, ever come to love the child. It does not mean you are a bad person. Right now you know that you are being used by the family to give her a mother figure. It is understandable that you would resent that. Not the asshole. Why were you in charge of a sick child? It is his niece and so he should have been the 100% caretaker. Why on earth would you love your boyfriend's niece like your own nibbling or child? People don't feel that way about their stepchildren often. Not the asshole, but you need to grow yourself a spine and start saying no and sticking to it. What is the living situation here? Why did you happen to be around, but no other family members? Was your fiancé there? Do you all live together? You have been shown a window into the future of how this family will take advantage of you and your partner doesn't seem to listen to you or care about how you feel. Nope, I would have walked out and told them no. Not your responsibility. If they don't want to put their foot down then it's their problem, not yours. I'm confused. Does everyone in the family live together? Run. You were left with a kid that's not yours and when you try to voice your opinion, your boyfriend walks out mad. Nah, you don't deserve that level of disrespect and that whole family is treating you like you're the paid staff. Am I the asshole for not allowing someone to use a nickname I hate? Backstory. When I, 34F, was a child, my parents started using a nickname variant for me, Lissy versus Alyssa. I have been expressing open distaste for this since I was 15, but I let my family continue using it for a while, because they're family, until about 5 years ago when I started actively and consistently correcting them. I deeply despise this nickname as it feels patronizing as an adult and they all know that. Cut to last night. I went over to my parents' 62M F house to have dinner with them and my brother, Toby, 32M, for my birthday. Yesterday was a tough mental health day for me and I said as much when I got there. We started discussing plans for Christmas as my parents will be traveling to visit other family. As we're finishing up dinner and discussing possible alternatives, my mother starts, "Toby, you and Lissy can." And I interject with, "Alyssa." It's at this point, my mother slams her hands on the table, says, "You know what? Fuck Christmas," and storms off to her room. My father finishes clearing the table, and I very calmly say to Toby that I've been complaining about this for years and I'm done being polite about it. He tells me he doesn't want to get involved. I spend the next few hours watching TV with my dad as my mom stays in her room. She doesn't even come out for birthday cake. When I go to leave, my dad tries to insist I go talk to her. I tell him the same thing I told my brother, and pointed out that you wouldn't dead name a trans person or use the wrong pronouns for Toby's NB partner. This isn't okay either and I'm allowed to be upset. He starts in on me about how I need to cut her some slack because I don't understand how much pain she's in all the time. She has autoimmune, chronic pain. Or how tired she is because she's not sleeping. I also have chronic pain and insomnia and said as much, and pointed out that if any one of her children behaved the same way, it wouldn't be okay. He continues to insist that I should go talk to her, implying that I'm in the wrong because my correction sounded snotty. I said flat out that we'd talk eventually, but I just wanted some space to process my feelings before talking. That's how I've always been. So she slipped. When was the last time she slipped? This past Sunday, and I said nothing about it. She corrects herself with other people and corrects them. Yes, but she never corrects herself in front of me, and that hurts me. He tells me to do whatever the fuck I want. Through this, Toby has re-entered the conversation. Just before I walk out, he says, "Alyssa, stop looking for reasons to hate mom." I've never felt white-hot rage flare through me like that, but I held back from cursing him out and just left. So am I the asshole for holding a boundary and wanting to cool off before talking to my mother about this? I don't see how chronic pain makes it more difficult to pronounce your name correctly. Your name, perfectly reasonable to expect everyone to use it. Your correction was very low-key. Like you, I had a childhood name which, thankfully, I didn't have much trouble shedding as an adult. Definitely not the asshole. Not the asshole, obviously. Whatever your mother is going through, blowing up on you like that on your birthday is unacceptable. This is an open and shut case for the reasons you have stated about dead names and the like. You are a 34-year-old adult and everybody around you needs to stop calling you names you don't want to be called. It's not a big demand in your end, and it's not a big burden on their end. Also, why do both your parents swear at you so often? That's weird, you know? Normal parents don't swear at their children, even once said child is grown up. Not the asshole. If she can't figure it out, try doing the same thing back to her. Say her name is Mary, start calling her May May to her face, and then tell her you don't understand why she's bothered by the fact you gave her a nickname. It's a power and control thing. She's mad that she isn't able to walk all over you anymore and that you're standing up for yourself. Good for you. Like seriously, good for you for setting boundaries and sticking to them. Not the asshole. Anytime she says something from now on, slam your hands down on the closest table and say, "You know what? Fuck Christmas." After all, everyone in your family considers it a perfectly reasonable response to anything. Not the asshole. Growing up, I had a nickname that only my family used. If at any time I had said I hated the nickname, they would have stopped using it. And despite what your father said, your mother didn't slip. If she had accidentally called you Lisa, she would have apologized at once. She's doing it as a power play, basically saying, I can call you whatever I want and you can't stop me. That's abundantly clear from the fact that she threw a tantrum when you politely corrected her. Not the asshole. If your mom wanted you called Lissy, why didn't she name you that instead of Alyssa? Everyone has a right to be addressed correctly by their name, not a nickname.